All right, guys. First of all, thank you for coming to our Prospect Live event. This is probably one of our more exciting events that we've been able to host this year, really because we brought Prospect Live to the companies and the communities to really make site selection a more effective process in terms of transparency, really diving into what the company is looking for, what they are in need of, and what are the tipping points that'll help them make their final decision, which will ultimately create jobs for communities, which is truly exciting in these days and times. Um, what I'm so excited about this event is it is an international event. We are communicating with our project who is overseas and looking at building a location here in the U.S. that'll create a good number of jobs and really help them do a great job of penetrating and further penetrating the U.S. market. Um, my name is Eric Kleinsorge. I am the CEO, chairman of Global Site Location Industries, and I am your host today. I love doing these events. I've been doing this for a little bit over 25 years. And really, what I founded our company on is the ability to put expanding or relocating companies in touch with commu- uh, put expanding or relocating companies in touch with communities that can help them. And by doing so, our job we feel is the creation of jobs and making an economic impact for communities. Today's goals to kind of review with you, we're going to meet some of our team. We're going to kind of overview the project and get an overview of what their requirements are and really kind of talk with you how we came in touch with the project. Then we're going to bring the project on live with us and we're going to get to meet the project and get an in-depth knowledge. People have been wonderful in terms of sending in their questions and answers they have. We'll go through all those and then we'll open it up for a Q&A, a question and answer session for you to ask your questions directly. You might be asking, should you be here? There are a couple of groups that are here. Those are our community clients. We appreciate them tremendously. Those are the people that we communicate with regularly and know about their communities and what they have to offer. And we present every one of our projects to those communities to kind of let them discount and uh, kind of remove themselves from the site location process if there's not a good match. If there's a great match and the company might not know about them, then we want to introduce the benefits of that community and help them get on the short list. We also have some trial communities that have joined us today. Those are companies that are kind of taking a look. We allow communities that have not become a part of our alliance to submit on one project per year with us and kind of get a feel for how we're working and if our existing clients are not able to address the needs and concerns of the companies, then we kind of go to that second level of communities, and we always put the focus on the company. So, what is best for the company in terms of their final success in a site location? So, I'd like to welcome all of those communities today. Really excited about the observing companies and site locators that have joined us today. We've been doing some branding and emails out to the companies to share with them how seamless this process can be instead of them communicating by making 50, 60 phone calls and trying to identify buildings, trying to identify sites. They can make one call to us and we can host these types of events and get all of their needs and concerns out there while gaining that information and making their process of finding the right sites quite seamless. And it's amazing. I've been doing this again for 25 years, and it always seems that a company starts out with some initial areas of interest, and the more they learn about the benefits of certain communities and the assets that they may have, how lack of education on a community is typically the lack of interest. And more they know about the alignment of the community and their needs, the more interested they become. So want to welcome aboard the companies. We hope this will give you a clear picture of what we can do for you also, and the site locators. We love to work with site locators. In fact, we have some on our board. It's called our project development board. I see a couple of those are here today. I want to welcome you guys also. And finally, the observing communities. A lot of our clients and communities that just want to learn what is in the mind of an expanding or relocating company and what makes them um, uh, what is their motivating factors and what are their needs and what is the process they go through in their minds of picking the right site, and all with the intent of helping make a community stronger in their efforts of attraction of businesses to their communities. So let's start off with a couple housekeeping items so we can keep organized here. We have everybody muted right now. Um, Sometimes, for example, in this, when we get over 80 to 100 people involved in one of our Prospect Live events, we just don't want anybody here if you're eating lunch or doing something on the back that could be distracting. We can unmute you if we feel that a question is more in depth, that we need some additional information. But right now, everybody's muted. If you have a question as we go, this is meant to be interactive. So there is a question, a Q&A button down at the bottom that you can click. Post all of your questions there, not in the chat box. And those will align in my Q&A session for me to make sure that I answer all of your questions as you have them come up. There is the ability to raise your hand if there's something immediate, but please let us go through all the questions that we have first and see if those get answered. And then we'll go into a live Q&A. Again, I just mentioned you can raise your hand if you have an immediate need. A reminder, we are recording and transcribing this. That will go directly out to everybody that's registered for this event so that you can review it, share that with some of your team members and coming up with the correct response. And there's also a transcription that'll be provided that you can download to kind of go through and highlight any of the things that you found most important in submitting your response. If you need more information, we've provided a link if you want to learn more about how you can get involved with us. We're here to help both the companies and the communities. So, Brooke, if you could, in the chat box, if you could go ahead and post the link to the request form, and that'll be easy. You guys can simply click there and go directly to that information. We'll also provide that at the end of this webinar or Prospect Live event. We're also going to take a poll, a real quick poll, and the next 2 minutes, kind of go through that. And if you could, I've just launched the poll. If you could, go ahead and give us your feedback. We always want to be improving our system, improving our technology, and making sure that everything is going smooth for both parties. So would love to hear your feedback on that. So first of all, let's meet some of our team. My name is Eric Kleinsorge. I am the CEO and chairman of Global Site Location Industries. Most communities know me from World Economic Development Alliance. I founded the Alliance back in 1994 with one mission: to put expanding or relocating companies in touch with communities. And the more I found technology could bridge that gap, the more I adopted it and embraced it to make it a seamless process. In the beginning, we used to do everything by fax. Then we used to do it by email. And now the beauty of being able to do it live and get all of these questions and answers has been a tremendous breakthrough for our company. And in our 25th year, we felt we should rebrand the company to Global Site Location Industries so that it spoke more to the companies that we're helping and allows them to really make their process of finding a site more enjoyable, more seamless, and more positive. Uh, Brooke Edwards, she is our project coordinator. She does everything from coordinating your responses to the project, communicating with the project, to being out in the marketplace, working with our projects, and gathering information so that we can put together good project reports that are useful for the communities when submitting on the projects. And we have the Chief Executive Officer of Project Pipe Machinery. They are overseas currently and international and looking at doing this facility in the US. So we're excited to be reaching afar and communicating with them today. And really we won't disclose their name at this point just because we don't want internet searches. We do protect the privacy of the company until they come up with their short list. And then we make the introductions to the communities and set up the site visits so the really just to keep from inundation to the company. So about GSLI, I've kind of went through that. We were formerly known as World Economic Development Alliance. To kind of describe, we have built an exclusive network of communities from each state that we work with in locating projects. Typically, the number is 5 communities within a state, and those people act as our ground offices. So when we engage with a project, we reach out to each of those offices and we ask for responses and information if they're doing building searches or if they need demographic data, anything that we wouldn't know um, from a national level that they would know from a local level. And they do a tremendous amount of work for us and we appreciate it. And we are always looking at building into that network or adding to our network. Communities in the network, they do have access to our project portal. And when we have new projects, they're alerted immediately before anyone else in the nation is. And they are allowed to submit on an unlimited number of projects. Any given year, we work with between 75 to 130 projects. And so we our communities know that they're real projects, that they're live projects. So they get to be a little bit more discerning and say, hey, this is the perfect project for us and for these reasons. As I said earlier, guest communities are always invited to submit one project before they join our network. And that kind of gives them a taste and feel of how we work and what the process is and whether or not it's a good fit for their attraction needs for their community. And we've been busy since 1994. We've identified over 2,125 projects over our 25-year history. The number of new jobs is over 53,000 jobs, 6.3 billion in total capital investment, and over 31 million square feet of industrial office type space that our projects have needed. This is our portal. Kind of want to give you a look at each and every one of our communities have probably logged in here to take a look at the portal, to take a look at the different types of projects, if there's a good match for that. This is our spinal column, if you will. This is where everything starts for our company. Once we've identified a project, we've qualified it, and it meets our minimum criteria, it goes into the portal and it is sent out to all of our active community site location experts that are a part of that portal. And at that point, they have an opportunity to say there's a good match or not, and work in the portal. And anybody can view the portal and kind of get a look at the projects. Once you log into GSLIprojectportal.com, both the companies and communities can log in there to see what type of companies that we're assisting, and the communities can also see what type of projects that we're working with. And there, once you get in, you'll see a nice little dashboard that lets you view the projects, browse any of the projects, search for projects, and actually get in contact with us. So this is the opportunity I like to talk about with both the companies and the communities on how we actually got in touch with the project, and found a project. We have 7 different pillars, which we consider our marketing initiatives to go out and find projects. And projects come from all sorts of different marketing initiatives that we engage in. And so I like we're going to bring Brooke on here. And Brooke, if you can, I'd like to welcome you to today's Prospect Live event. Are you here?
Hi, Eric. I'm here.
Hey, Brooke. So if you could kind of give our audience a brief description of how we came in touch with Project Pipe Machinery, and kind of the process that we've went through to bring it to this, um, to today.
Sure. So we had originally met Project Pipe Machinery at the FabTech show last November. So that was November 2019. We were exhibiting our services there, free site location assistance, and we typically exhibit at 4 to 6 industry shows a year to not only promote our free services, but to identify leads for our members to work. And we identify these shows to help our members save between $8,000 to $10,000 a year with trade show expenses. So we represent members, we identify projects, and we just want to be that connecting piece between expanding companies and communities that have solutions to their problems. This project had stopped by our booth. We were there and we got a chance to just learn about his company and his expansion needs. Obviously, that was back in November, so it's clear to see that projects change so consistently. And with COVID, it really did put an impact on a lot of the project scopes that we're working with, but specifically this one, we just now reconnected and picked up the conversation back in June, and now we're at the point of aiding him, finding a site for him, and just looking to increase his presence in the U.S. So we're looking forward to finding the right site next couple of
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah, thank you. And that's kind of evidence. Any project that we're engaged with, it's kind of a life that we build with them. And our job, I feel, is to take it from capture to introduction and hopefully follow it up till the close. And our goal is to have 100% of our projects have a successful location, and find that our process has been very seamless with them, so that they continue to use us on their second expansions, their third expansions. And with technology, again, we've really, it's been able to stay in touch with these companies through a crisis like COVID, or just through their changes. If things change with their company, they can go on hold, but we'll stay in touch with them and assist them, as their changes need. So let's dive into the project. This particular project, it is Project Pipe Machinery. They are a fabrication manufacturer, or they're in the fabrication manufacturing industry. The number of new jobs that this particular project will create are 20 to 50 new employee jobs within a community. The size requirements that they are looking for is 5 to 10,000 square foot of space. They are willing to build if necessary. They'd like to take a look at some of those requirements, but it's specifically going to be a showcase, a manufacturing showcase for their product here in the US. The building type, they as a the preferred one is the existing building. I introduced that that they are open to a build to suit if the conditions are right for them. Time frame, we're on 6 to 12 months of making a decision, and we are wanting to identify first round sites within the next 4 weeks so that we can start setting up some potential site visits. Typically, we'll go through and do some Google Earth presentations on the communities to kind of better align and get a feel for their needs on those facilities, and then we'll actually set up some actual site visits. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and bring on Project Pipe Machinery. Hello, are you here and can you hear me?
Hi, Eric. Yes, I'm here.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Technology is amazing. I love this. For those that have any questions, we do have a Q&A box over at the right. I'm introducing this to you right now. So as we go through our questions, and if you have specific questions, state your location, put a brief description of where your community resides, and then state your question, and we'll go through those questions. But prior to this, we've had several questions sent in to us, and we've posted these here, and we'll go through those. And if you find that your questions are not answered, then we'll kind of go through the Q&A. So Project Pipe Machinery, we're very excited to have you on board. We've enjoyed our conversations and working with you. Loved meeting you at FabTech. And the information you've provided has been tremendous. But why don't you give us a little bit of a background on your company?
Yes, hi, Eric. Thank you for the introduction. Sure, I can tell you something about our company. We are a small family-owned company. We started in 1997. And we started in machine building myself. My background is as a mechanical engineer. And by then we started to build lathes, special lathes. So if you are a little familiar with machining or metal working, then you know how a lathe works. In our case, the lathe is special because the part is not spinning, but the tool is spinning, and it's not a milling process, so it's a turning process.
Awesome. So in terms of this
It's
particular,
used when you have to machine bigger. Yes.
oh, go ahead. You just cut out. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. So these machines are used when you have to machine parts that not easily can be spinned, like long, heavy tubes or shafts or all that kind of things. So we started designing and building these machines, and first we sold this type of machines under private label. But then in 2010, we decided to build our own brand. It's a niche market, and therefore your market is the world. So only a small region would be too small. So we started to do the big exhibitions in Europe, later on also in the US, and then so slowly we built the brand. And now we are at a point that we want to expand also to the US.
Awesome. So what would you say your key motivation for this expansion or location? Uh, what's motivating you to actually take action on this?
Well, we believe that when you are in a niche market, you have to be close to the end user. You need the info of the end user to design next uh, machinery, next make new designs, but also to serve the customers to give them a good service. So of course, it's easy these days to fly around the world, but the US market is very big, and there is space uh, for yeah, a separate office there. So that's actually the reason we want to be close to the end users, and because the US is really a big market, it's good to be there.
Okay. So do you currently you have your other operations? Do you have any other operations other than your current one? And will this be your first, I guess obviously it'll be your first expansion in the US. Will you maintain your offices overseas also?
Well, at the moment we have a sales office in Houston. However, it's not our own, let's say, sales office. I outsourced sales to a small company. But now we want to make the next step. So have our own office, hire our own staff, and go from there.
Okay. So that kind of answers question number four. But so can you provide some details? Because you've gotten kind of, specific with us and type in terms of the type of building, the type of location you want, but talk about the type of building and space you need here in the US.
Yeah, so actually we want to relocate the Houston, because in Houston we have a sales office, but also we rent some warehousing over there. We want to go to one building where we have warehousing. We have a space where we can provide service like repair or whatever. And we would like to have office space for marketing and sales related activities. So the space we need to start with would be a building of about, yeah, I would say 3 to 5,000 square foot. Um, let's say three quarter could be a warehouse. The height should be around 20 to 25 foot inside of the warehouse. There should be, let's say, an overhead door where we can get trucks or trailers in to load or unload. Yeah, and then the office space, I would say, yeah, 500 to 700 square foot, something like that. Yeah,
What would you say the mix of the office, showroom, and distribution space be within that space? Do you have a good percentage in mind of what you
uh,
need?
of course, there will be a start, and we hope in the next years we will grow. So what we see here over the last 3 years, we growed with how do you say that, double digits. So um, to start with would be 3 to 5,000 foot, but it could be then rapidly 10,000 or 15,000. So would also be nice. You already mentioned, would we go for an existing building or buy some land? Probably we would start uh, with an existing building and go from there. But sure, we would be interested to buy some land, um, and where we can grow the company, if you know what I mean.
Okay. You mentioned some doors to possibly bring in your products and stuff. Do you need multiple docks on this facility or just one dock? What do you foresee if that?
Yeah, well, not necessarily docks, because docks, they are, you cannot, we would rather like to drive the trailer into the building and load and unload. Most of the unloading and loading will be done from the side of it has to be done from the side of the trailer, not from the end. Um, and most of the loading we will do to start with forklift. So we have machines, the weight will be up to 20,000 pounds or more. Um, or you have an overhead crane or a big forklift. But to start, I think a forklift would be the best solution.
Okay. So it would be a benefit to have some type of crane ability inside the building.
Yeah, later on, that sure would be a benefit. Yeah.
Okay. Um, so you mentioned to us there's some industries that you want to avoid and ones that you want to be around. Could you kind of expand on that?
Well, because we build machines which are in some cases even in industries like automotive or in hydraulic cylinder production, these industries they work very accurate. They make nice products, and once we will and we invite this customers, it would be nice to be in a space where what is related to a more accurate industry. So if we would be next to a big concrete company or heavy metal industry um, company, that would be, let's say, um, that would affect the environment. Yeah, so we would like to be in an environment where you have companies that work with software, electronics, of course also machine building. So the, let's say, more accurate technical industries.
Okay. And kind of a high-end environment, correct? Not kind of
Yeah,
a, not a
yes,
Rust Belt type business
yeah,
park or something like that. Okay.
correct.
Now you talked with this of your your focus, probably one of your most important factors in making a decision. You talked about having an educated workforce and really wanting to have proximity to local colleges and universities. Talk about that.
Well, building these machines and also selling and marketing, it's something that where you need a lot of knowledge. On the other hand, it's also a practical thing. So our goal is to connect knowledge and practical practice, building machines, but not just by doing something. No, we really want to know what we do. Therefore, most of our guys are having the bachelor degree on, let's say, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, software, but also on marketing and sales. So that's the level of the employees we work with. Um, Now and then, we also do projects with universities when we have special needs of knowledge, and that we bring this knowledge in for a special project to develop a new invention or a new part of a machine or whatever. So in this area, we need our staff to be trained.
Okay. Do you anticipate partnering with any of the colleges on workforce training, putting together special programs that work possibly with your community to help educate students and likewise get the students prepped for possibly a position within your company?
Yeah, what we do a lot is having students in that do their last thesis for a bachelor degree.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's a pretty educated workforce that you're looking for. Can you talk about a little bit about the salaries, maybe the total, what's an average pay for someone that would come to work for you or that you're looking to employ?
Yeah, that's for me a little bit new when it comes to the US situation. Um, of course, the salary depends on how much, how experienced you are, but I would say it would something between 30 and 80,000.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah.
And that's probably, is that company wide? You really don't have any low level employees that you can think of, do you? Low
Probably.
skill.
Of course, we have also, let's say, but that's very limited because, let's say, what we what we could consider as low, what is low? So if you have to do some counting or bookkeeping or I don't know what, in these days it's yeah mostly outsourced or so I agree. It's less lower than it's more the higher trained and paid staff. Yes.
Okay. And a lot of communities, they can offer a benefit by having existing industry like you talked you were interested in. Why don't you talk a little bit about the type of customers you're serving or the client base that would be ideal to be mixed in with within a community?
Yeah. Well, we are in different industries, um, like in the energy, in the oil and gas, in the renewable, LNG, nuclear, but also in the general metalworking, uh, like hydraulic cylinder production, automotive even. Um, so yeah, it's a wide range of industries that we serve.
Okay. So in our discussions, you've mentioned an interest in tax-free zones. Are you kind of referring to a free trade zone? Will you be shipping in product, or explain what you mean by your tax-free zones or what you're looking for?
Well, that's also a little bit new to me, but as far as I know, you have to pay sales taxes in the US. Of course, we already arranged that also. Um, but when we bring in machines to our warehousing and showroom, um, is it needed to pay sales tax to export these machines to the US? Later on, we sell it to another state and pay again sales tax. So how I was wondering, probably it would be good to be in a zone where you can bring in the machines, um, don't pay any taxes now, but pay it when you send it out to the customers. I understand it's possible. It's a question. Is this possible? Is my question.
Okay. What do you think about that?
Sorry?
All right. You had cut out for a little bit. Did you have a question on that or want further something on that?
No, it's okay. I understand that it's possible to have or to be in a free zone.
Okay. So when we first started working with you, you were doing a national search and kind of open to the world. I know you've now kind of honed in on 9 different states of interest. Just to ask if there are any other states or things that bring something that we may have not known or found, would you still be open to those other states and communities based on some facts, or have you narrowed it down to those 9 specifically because because of your needs?
Well, so far we found out that most of our customers, um, they are on the East Coast, on the West Coast, on the South, a little bit in the North, less in the center of the USA.
Okay.
Um, However, uh, we would like to find a place where we can serve all of the USA. So it should be easy to fly customers in, should be easy to bring machines in and out. Um, would be nice if I can fly in easily from Europe. Um, yeah, that kind of things. But most important, I would say, is that we can fly in customers uh, to visit our company.
Okay. So that's a big priority of yours. So in making this move, will you be bringing in your machinery? Will there be machinery there to produce these machines on site?
Well, what we focus on is design, assembling, and testing. So we outsource a lot of production of parts. Um, when we start, first we would bring in machines in for sales and to maintain. And later on, when we would start production, we would focus also on assembling, testing, and installation. So, yeah, there would not be a big need for machines. We would outsource the production of parts.
Okay.
That would be nice if we are also in an environment where we have suppliers for production of parts, which mostly is metalworking and machining, but also where we have suppliers that can do the electrical stuff for software and so on.
Okay. So it might make sense if some of those suppliers are also in close proximity to you that you'd be outsourcing, or would you be outsourcing that in the US or would you be outsourcing it overseas, the
Yeah, so
production?
to start with, we would fly in complete machines to sell and to install. And after that, we would start also assembling, yeah, and buy and outsource the production in the USA.
Okay. And then when working with your company, we've been working with you. Are you the main contact, or do you have any kind of real estate broker or consultant that you're working with that these communities might need to interface with also?
Yeah, well, for now, I would be the main contact, but for sure later on, I will need help. So,
Okay. So kind of going back, and you've hit on this, so we probably don't have to spend too much time on this one but in terms of the airport specifically, um, does as a tipping point, does an international airport make a difference, or does it just really need to be an airport that can fly people in from around the United States?
yeah, the most important is from around the United States. We did a bit of research on this, but we found international airports, or they say they are international, but then they have only 10,000 passengers. So I'm not sure what is international. Yeah, so for me, international is when you can fly in from all over the world. So that would be important for me only to fly in. So the most important is a good hub domestic.
Okay. And do you have any kind of corporate aircraft for consideration, or
No,
okay?
no, no.
Um, so what would you say? This is my last question, and then we've got about six or seven. Looks like it's up to nine questions now from the communities. What would you say the tipping point is? What's going to really drive you? If you're taking a look at several points, what would you say is your most is going to make the big difference for you if all these things line up for one community?
Well, it's a bit of a package of different that we can find. So trained employees, um, how to travel, and one other thing is yeah, the people in the end, because yeah, we have to work with the people, and yeah, if they have a good uh, approach to the customers, that will be most important. Yeah, that we have to realize that we all work for customers, and we want to serve them as best as possible. And this, yeah, we like to go to this kind of community that realize that how important this is.
Okay, great. So let's dive into some of the questions that our communities have put up. First question's from Chris Edge. He's from Berlin, Connecticut. They're up in the northeast of the U.S. He just asked a real simple question: are you looking to own, lease? Which I know you described both of those. Would you also consider a lease with an option to purchase your location?
Yeah, sure, we are open for that, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Second question is from Hillsboro EDC in Texas. They're down around the Dallas area, and they're about 4 hours to Houston and San Antonio, 2 hours to Austin. They're asking, is they only have greenfield space to offer? Do you feel they should put in, if they put in a submission, should they talk about the cost of doing a building for you, or if they can help offset those costs? Would you consider an area that only has greenfield space if it's got all the other uh, check marks?
I I would say yes. So offer the green space and offer me a small plan what is possible, because we will also look for a situation where we can grow the company. So investing in green space is not a big issue. Building a big uh, building is a bigger issue. So, but when we can grow it slowly, that would be a nice solution. So yes, we would be interested to hear what is possible.
Okay. And Tammy asks a good question here. She's from Colorado Springs. Um, and she's asking in terms of, she asked, would you manufacture the machines in this location or just bring them in and have them in a showroom type situation? I know you answered to that, but is that where you see your expansion coming from? Moving on to the next size of your facility in adding manufacturing, or would it be more warehousing?
No, no. So to start with, it would be let's say more having a showroom and a little bit warehousing. What we also see that we have specific machines which are uh, doing good in the USA. So probably um, these machines we will start to produce there. So yeah, but we have to do step by step. First sales and showroom, sales, warehousing, and then assembling and outsourcing production of parts.
Okay. I've got a question here from James. Uh, he's asking, will anyone from the home office relocate to this new site?
No, I don't think so. So the home office, not sure what you mean by home office. So our headquarters will stay in Europe. The sales office we have in Houston, because we outsource sales to this small company, um, we will start doing that ourselves and hiring new staff for this. Yeah,
Okay.
so the Houston office will and it will not close because they will do other jobs, I hope, but we will not longer outsource sales to them.
Okay. And Susan asks, and Susan, it's Arellano. Hope I don't mispronounce your name. She was just asking, could you repeat kind of the salary ranges? I believe you said it was 30,000 to 80,000 on the employee side.
Yeah, that's correct. But it's a wide range, and it fully depends on knowledge and experience.
Okay. She also followed up with a question, and if, I feel like we might know this one. In U.S. presence, do you anticipate sales being largely domestic, or will you still continue, or will you continue to sell internationally through this location?
It will be for 80%. Yeah, what is domestic? Domestic is not one state.
Right.
That's the question. So domestic is the USA. Yeah?
Yes.
Yes. So it will be 80% the USA. Now we also have some customers in Canada. We have a few in Mexico. So probably around could be a few, but at least 80% will be the USA. Yes.
Okay. Tammy from Colorado Springs followed up. How important, or is there an importance to be near a port if the machines will be brought into the U.S.? Will you be bringing those in by boat?
Yes, so most of the machines will be brought in by boat because of the weight. Sometimes when there is no more time, we fly in machines. A port is, yeah, it's an advantage when we are not too far from a port. Sometimes we ship machines directly to end users, to the customers. But yeah, to bring into it's mostly by boat. So the connection to a harbor would be nice. Yeah.
Okay. Paul Sedania also followed up with that question. He's out in Tulare, California. Just want to make sure, like on a scale from 1 to 10, how important is that proximity to a port? And I guess how many minutes would they need to be to a port in case they have a transload opportunity to take it from the port directly to your facility?
Oh no. The connection to the port, even if it's 1 day, it's okay.
You cut out. I'm sorry.
The connection to the port, so the distance, even if you have to go by truck for 1 day, it's not a big issue. Yeah, as long as there is a nice connection, it's okay.
Okay, great. In terms of, I'll ask this question. I'm not sure where it's in terms of what it means. Are there any language requirements? I'm not sure if that's on the sales side or the equipment side, but I'm sure those are all domesticated and ready for US. And James, if there's anything further than that, I guess go ahead and fill in or ask a question. If you want me to open up your mic, I can bring you on live. All right, got a couple more questions here. So Tammy, back in Colorado Springs, would you consider a multi-tenant office warehouse building with other tenants?
Well, to start with, it would be an option, but later on, probably we would like to be independent, so or not connected.
Okay. Got a question here from Rusty Smith from Lubbock, Texas. Rusty, one of my favorite. I'm a Texas Tech graduate, so go Raiders. they are located in the South Plains and the Panhandle of Texas. And how important is rail service, or would you need rail service, or would it in the future be a benefit, or will you strictly use trucks?
I think trucks would be okay. I'm not saying a rail service could not work, but so far around the world we used it very rarely. So it's not a big issue.
Okay, we only have two more questions and we can wrap this up. This is kind of a repeat question, just confirming. Allison Church asked, how far is too far from a port? You said a day's drive is fine. Even more or less?
Far too far. So a day drive. How far is that in miles? The truck it will go 50 miles an hour probably, or less, 40. So
Yeah.
let's say if you are in Houston, if you bring in goods to Houston and you have to drive to Oklahoma, it would be okay for me.
You said that would be okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. James did follow up on the language requirements. In terms of communicating with the headquarters, is it important at all for your employees to be multilingual? Or,
You mean, yeah, for us the English would be would be needed. Yeah.
okay,
So when it comes to Spanish, it gets difficult. Spanish, French, I don't know. So English would be, yeah, that's needed.
okay, great. Let me read James' question here. James is just really kind of talking about the colleges and the proximity. I can forward you his response in terms of the benefits that he has, but I'll kind of give you the scenario. He mentioned a college relationship. They have several colleges within 2 hours of the location, as well as they're 2 hours from a major port. They have a small airport in the area, but only an hour and a half from Bush International Airport. Just kind of asking, they have green space and everything. That kind of scenario would obviously be in consideration for yourself, wouldn't it?
You mean if it would fit?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. There's nothing there that I see that would disqualify them. So, all right, that is all of our questions that I have. I've got one more. We're getting a couple more. In terms of this, you've said you're not. Someone asked if we could disclose the 9 states. Currently, right now, we cannot disclose those states. We we do have those on the submission form listed. So if you decide that you want to submit, we kind of go into more detail on those. They were just asking, would you consider a northeast location? You really didn't mention northeast United States in terms of your selection, but would you be open to a northeast location?
Well, northeast. Uh, um, Regarding machinery, probably I installed, as I told, on the east coast, on the west coast, in the south. Um, the northeast would not be the first option probably because it's when you have to go to California or to Texas or to Seattle, it's always far away, and when you have to fly in people, um, so not sure.
Yeah, and the last question I have from Amber. They're from San Antonio, Texas. Uh, have you done any due diligence on the capital investment of the project in terms of what budget you've set aside to make this project happen?
Well, we did, and I think we would spend over the next years between 500 and 1.5 million US dollars
Okay,
when it
great,
comes to location. Yeah.
great. Um, that's it for our questions. If anybody has any last questions, we've gotten through all those. Let's get into how to submit your community um, to Project Pipe Machinery. We have completed or put together a submission form. And those of you that were on our last Project Blue HQ webinar, that's the first time we introduced these. We got tremendous feedback on the submission form in terms of its ease, and the client has really appreciated the way we've organized the data for them. Brooke, if you could, if you'll put that submission form link, thank you, into the chat box. You can easily get to it by clicking there. If you have any direct questions or additional needs from us, you can email Brooke directly at brooke@gslisolutions.com. And once we receive all these submissions, the submission deadline is July 10th, which is next Friday. We'll be sitting down with them and kind of discussing and narrowing down the cities of interest over the next several weeks, and then we will engage and begin setting up site visits and conference calls as those are necessary. With that said, here is our contact information. You can take a screenshot of that. Brooke, if one final time, if in case some people came in late, post the information about getting in contact with us. From a company standpoint, we would love to work with your company on your next expansion or relocation. We are a free service, and we are here to help you be successful so you create jobs. We'd love to know about your project. You can communicate with us through that contact form, and any communities that would love to consider and be in consideration to become a part of our site network, we would love to talk with you and learn more about your community. Thank you very much, everybody, for taking the time out today and spending with us and learning more about Project Pipe Machinery. And thank you so much, Project Pipe Machinery. It's exciting to be able to talk with you over in another continent, and I love the technology, and we want to thank you for the amount of time you spent with us and the time you've spent with our attendees today, and we look forward to your successful location.
Well, it was my pleasure, and thanks a lot for interviewing.
Great. With that said, if you have registered here, look for the recorded webinar and transcription of it, and we will keep your eyes out for our next Prospect Live event. With that said, thanks again, and keep GSLI in mind whenever you're looking to attract businesses or find a location for your next site. Thank you.